Welcome back to the college football betting locks and predictions video, and let's get right into it with a recap of last week. One just short of a unit there, and so let's get into the recap. Oregon sweeps Purdue in this game on Friday, got their week off to a good start. In a brutal travel spot here, had to go multiple time zones over to Indiana to play Purdue in, a trap game spot after that massive win against Ohio State on short rest. But they once again proved that they're a great team. They move up to number one after Texas loses. And this is what great teams do, take care of business on the road. This Purdue team is horrible, but they did play pretty close to Illinois a couple weeks ago, so it is an impressive win for Oregon to get that done there. BYU barely scrapes by against Oklahoma State. Kind of sad we didn't take the betting lock here, even though I mentioned it in the last video. Oklahoma State almost won this football game, but BYU puts a drive together with just about a minute left, goes 75 yards and scores in a miracle to win at home. Again, this 13 rating, they're one of two undefeated teams in the Big 12 with Iowa State, so we'll see if they can keep it going. Then we had a late game in Reno, Fresno State. We took them -2 in the hook. They win by 3, so a good one there in a competitive game, but not really one that was great to watch from the viewer perspective. Moving on to Saturday, we had Louisville +6 against Miami. This one was back and forth. Miami just seems like a team that cannot play defense, so we'll see if they can round that into shape, but my goodness, Cam Ward and the offense was excellent in this game, and they get it done on the road. And this is one of their most challenging games that I was thinking going into the season, and I thought for sure they'd lose, but they've really been scraping by. Take care of Louisville there. Then Virginia at Clemson. Clemson takes it away easily, and they're on quite the roll right now. And then how about an easier game? 56-0. Indiana beats Nebraska. Very impressive there. Coach Sig and the boys getting it done again. And if you look at that schedule down the stretch, they play Ohio State, but man, besides that, I think this could be a playoff team in Indiana. It's starting to look like it. And if you see down the schedule for the rest of the year, looks like they could be a playoff team in Bloomington. Cincinnati sweeps Arizona State. Arizona State misses 2 late field goals to kind of choke it away. Cincinnati, big win for them there. Arizona loses and gets dragged by Colorado here, and a shocking result. Colorado needs to get more respect in the Big 12. Only a one-loss team right now. We'll talk more about their game this week later in the video. Alabama at Tennessee, third Saturday in October. Our Tennessee +3 bet hits. We did sprinkle a little Bama -1.5 just in case they were to win by, say, 3 or, maybe even the 2 there. Hit both bets, but Tennessee ends up winning. Good game from them. Alabama starting to slip a little bit. Certainly slipped down the AP poll this week. We'll see how they can rebound at home against a little bit of a fraudulent Missouri team from what I'm seeing. Notre Dame takes care of Georgia Tech, and I selected Georgia Tech early in the week, and then Haynes King goes out. That shifts the spread massively. Some of their key defensive pieces don't make it to that game. Add in the neutral site there in Georgia, and that was not a good formula for Georgia Tech. Notre Dame continues to roll. Illinois +4.5, and this one was essentially over once Illinois, got past the touchdown lead. Michigan's offense is just dreadful. We'll see where they go from here, but man, the new quarterbacks, I don't think anything's going to solve this Michigan offense here. Georgia at Texas, crazy game. Texas -3 in the hook does not hit for us. Everyone in the world was on Texas. Started to feel a little sick about it, but then Georgia comes in and wins. And it's honestly crazy with that can thing for the pass interference that they got that call switched, that can happen, because I know it's going to be toxic in the SEC going down the stretch here. Comment what you guys thought about that below. But man, crazy game. Wasn't really that close though. But Georgia gets the win they really needed, and Texas shows quite a bit of weakness in that one. LSU at Arkansas. We had the Hogs +4 in the hook. Got a stray number here, but didn't matter. LSU was by far the most dominant team in this game, and the Hogs just were not there to play. And it was a spot that favored them after beating Tennessee, but LSU gets an impressive win there. Top 10 rating, well deserved. Auburn +6 in the hook cashes for us, and honestly, they should have won this football game, but they choked it down the stretch, won the turnover battle, did everything they needed to do that I said they needed to do, but man, just not being able to move the ball in their last 3 or 4 possessions was just heinous for them, and they lose to a Missouri team that I think is very overrated here. So we'll see what happens when they play Bama. We'll preview that game, and then I thought for some reason West Virginia would keep it close to K-State, but K-State ends up running away with it. This West Virginia team is just dreadful again. So last year just seems to be a blip on the radar, and now they're back down. It does seem like overall K-State is a better team than Iowa State if we just compare the examples. The one loss, of course, for K-State being that multiple turnover game where they actually outgained BYU. So keep an eye on them. I think that they will probably make the Big 12 championship, but we'll have to see. These schedules vary drastically in the Big 12. So let's get into Week 9 betting locks. USC, dreadful game against Maryland. They have choked every game, and that has caused me to not really move my power rating on them too much. I think they bounce back in a big way. Lincoln Riley back against the wall, 3-4. Dreadful start in Big 10, 1-4 after beating that top 10 LSU team in the first game of the season. I like USC to cover the 13 in the hook. I like them to win by at least 2 possessions. I feel like this one could get 30, maybe even 40. Rutgers is just a dreadful team right now, and USC really needs this one, so we'll see what they can do there. I like Louisville. Again, I'm going to live and die by this team at Boston College. Boston College has fallen off quite a bit as well. They played close to Mizzou, beat a horrible FSU team, so very interesting one there, but I like Louisville to win. And the third game of the Friday slate, biggest game of the season in the Mountain West, Boise State at UNLV. Both of these teams will probably rematch in the Mountain West Championship because these are by far the best two, not counting Washington State, as they do not count. The spread's right around 3, even though it's at UNLV. I feel like the fans will probably be, similar for both sides here, and I think Boise State is a more quality team. UNLV really should be undefeated. There's an argument for Boise to be undefeated with the win against Oregon. And Boise, honestly, if they play their A game, I think they can beat anyone in the country. If that Oregon game was at a neutral site, there's a chance Boise wins that. So I do like Boise to win here, but they didn't take off against Hawaii as much as I would have thought they did. UNLV grabbed a nice win at Oregon State. I like Madsen and the boys, Janty, to take it down on the Friday night. That will be appointment television there. Nebraska at Ohio State. I thought going into the season that Nebraska would be 7-0 here. They've lost to Illinois and Indiana, so they're quite a bit worse than I thought. I think Ohio State gets it done in a big way here. And then Notre Dame at Navy, but this is a neutral site game at MetLife Stadium. Very interesting place to play this game. I like Notre Dame to win because of that. If this was a true road game in Annapolis, I'd pick Navy, but I think this should be a good game to watch. Notre Dame's kind of been creeping along ever since that horrendous loss to NIU, but Navy's been rolling as well, so we'll see. Notre Dame plays both as service academies, Navy and Army, so we'll see what happens in these games. I like Notre Dame to win that one. And then Indiana against Washington. This is college game day, actually. Indiana's been rolling. I respect Washington as a team, but I like Indiana to take that one down. We'll see what the margin is there. Oklahoma at Ole Miss, and Oklahoma dreadful, fired the offensive coordinator. We did bet on them last week to win the football game against South Carolina, but my goodness, the turnovers early. It's the same story as that FSU game. They just ruined it for them, and they even end up outgaining South Carolina. But Ole Miss really needs this one in a bad way after playing the 7 consecutive games, ending with a loss to LSU. They really need this one. I think they'll get it. Texas Tech at TCU. Not many people have seen TCU this year, but I think that they're the better team here than Texas Tech. They're favored by about a touchdown. I think that number is correct despite the records here. TCU got off to a tough start, but I think they're a better team than they've shown so far. Texas Tech, a little fraudulent with that record, just given the teams they've played. I like TCU to win it there. Then Cincy at Colorado, late game here. Colorado, again, 1 loss in the Big 12. Cincy also has 1 loss. I think Colorado takes it home by virtue of the home field. So a lot more betting locks on this second page. We've got UTSA, true road game at Tulsa. We backed UTSA last week. They got it done. We're going to do it again here. Lay the 7 in the hook, and I think the Road Runners will get it done there. Pure numbers play. Penn State at Wisco. Wisco's really turned it around ever since that Bama game, whereas Bama's gone completely the opposite direction. I think Penn State's a little fraudulent here after they probably should have a loss here already, given that USC was leading the vast majority of that game against them. So I like Wisco to cover here. It should be a great crowd presence, and I think that they've really turned it around, and this offense looks potent at the moment. Then LSU at TAMU. This line's kind of moving around. If you can get a -2 in the hook or lower on Texas A&M, I like it. LSU's been good, but man, this is pretty brutal. 2 weeks of travel in a row, 3rd emotional game in a row, and going into the season, you wouldn't think the Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M combo necessarily would be like this, but this is a massive game, perhaps the biggest game of the weekend, just because of the ramifications, the 2 undefeated teams left in the SEC that no one talks about. People only seem to talk about Bama, Texas, and Georgia, but this is massive for them. I think they cover the 2 in the hook. A&M does, and they win there by virtue of a Wegman big performance. Illinois at Oregon. Illinois, I see as a very fraudulent team with this 6-1 record. They've had an easy pick of the litter. They did beat Nebraska. They barely beat Purdue. I think Oregon will clean up here. Oregon is really rounding in the shape. I like how the Ducks are looking right now. And then UCF, if we can get it up to a +3 against number 11, very fraudulent BYU team here. If BYU doesn't win the turnover battle, they're probably cooked here. UCF has not looked great at all either, in all fairness, but we'll see what the bounce house does. I foresee a field storming here in Orlando for that one. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is on the Mizzou-Bama game. I said I think Mizzou is far overrated, and so we're going to be taking Bama and the points. Lots of numbers that I'm laying this week, but we've got a home Bama team bounce back off the loss from that Tennessee game. Mizzou has a far better record than they should. Got taken to overtime by Vandy. To be fair, Alabama lost to Vandy, so I guess that's not a great comparison, but I like Bama to absolutely blow them out in this game here. Then Texas at Vanderbilt. We're going to lay the points with the Horns. Everyone should be on Vandy, getting 20 points again from a top 5 team. The thing that messed up this spot for me was the fact that Texas lost last week. I thought Texas would win, and then we'd maybe be able to back Vandy in this spot as a kind of trap game, overlook spot. But now Vandy's ranked. Texas just lost. I like the Horns to get it done by 20. Vandy is probably due for a blow up here, and I think Texas will round into shape. Final game, SMU at Duke. Same records. SMU still undefeated in the ACC, maybe cruising towards a conference championship. They're giving 10 points, and we're going to take them. Take the Ponies to win by 2 possessions plus there. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and comment your predictions below.